In this video we're going to add the final detail to the arches, which will be those small grooves. And because I want to add those grooves at the front of the object as well as at the back of the object, we're going to get rid of half of this arch, so we only have to do the work on one side. So let's go to edge mode, and I'm using the ring selection tool to select these edges here, and we can use connect points edges to create a new edge loop here. And now we can go to point mode and select the points at the back and delete them. I'm also going to select these points here and move them over a little bit. So let's go to edge mode, and I have my rectangle selection tool selected here. I'm going to switch off tolerance selection, and I also have only select visible elements deselected to make sure that I can select both the edge at the front as well as the edges at the top and at the bottom of these grooves here. And now we can use the bevel tool with a very small offset. Let's do maybe 1 centimeter. And you can see I've created an additional edge loop at the center. This is because I still have my subdivision set to 1. We don't really need these edges up here and over here, but down here we will need this edge loop because we have to split off the corner later on. So we do need this additional geometry to be able to do that. So what I'll do is I'll just select these edges and these ones and dissolve them. I also want to get rid of the n-gons that I've created here. So I'm going to use the polygon pen tool and weld some of these points here. In order to be able to split off the corner, we'll also need an additional edge here, so I'm going to select these 2 points and use connect points edges to create this additional edge here. Down here I don't want to weld this point up here to this point down here, because this would create a very stretched polygon, which is not something that I want. So instead I'm going to select these 2 points here and connect those two, and I'll do the same thing over here. We don't really need this polygon here, so let's use the polygon pen tool and weld these points together. And now we can go back to the front view and select the polygons that we want to extrude. And I'm going to extrude these back maybe 1.5 centimeters. So I think this is looking pretty good. So now let's go ahead and mirror this object, and in order to be able to do that, I'm going back to model mode. First of all, I want to mirror this arch from the front to the back, so we need to move the object axis and snap it to the back of this object here. And now we can use a symmetry object, and let's switch the mirror plane to XY, make the symmetry editable. And now we can optimize the geometry a little bit. Right now we have a lot of edges or polygons that we don't really need. For example, we don't really need this edge loop here at the center, and we don't really need the polygons at the top because this area will be covered by the ceiling later. And over here, this is going to be our mirror plane, so we don't want any polygons here. And we can also get rid of the polygons here at the bottom because they will never be seen. So in edge mode, I'm going to select these edges here and dissolve them. And down here, we also have an edge loop that we can get rid of. And now let's go to polygon mode. And I'm going to select the polygons at the top here and the ones over here and the ones at the bottom. And let's delete those. And whenever we delete polygons, we should make sure to optimize the object to make sure that we get rid of any points that might be left. And now we can go ahead and split off half of this pillar. So I'm going to select the polygons here. And let's zoom in a bit. We need to make sure that we don't have these polygons on the right selected. So I'm going to switch on tolerance selection and just deselect these polygons over here. And now we can split the selected polygons off to create a new object, which will be the corner. And let's make this invisible for now. Select the arch and delete these polygons. And of course we have to optimize the object. So I'm going to deselect all the points and use optimize. And now we can use a symmetry object and complete this arch, and let's make the symmetry object editable. And now we don't really need these edges here at the center anymore, so I'm going to select those and dissolve them. And I guess what we could also do is we could select these points up here, set the size to 0 on the x-axis, and then use optimize to get rid of some of the polygons here. So now the arch is finished, and we can copy this object to create the entire row of arches down here. I'm going to make a copy of the arch, go back to model mode and enable axis and snapping, and I'm going to move the object axis all the way to the left here. And now we can move this object over and snap it to here. Let's make another copy and snap it to here. I'm going to make a copy of the original arch, and on this one I'm going to move the object axis all the way to the right. And then let's move this over. Let's make another copy and snap it to here. And now we can use the corner and move it over a little bit, and I'm going to move the object axis to here and then snap the corner to the arch here. And let's make a copy of this one, rotate it 180 degrees, and we can move this over to the right and snap it to the arch here. So let's combine all of these objects by selecting them and then using connect objects and delete. And connecting these objects will not connect the geometry, so we also have to optimize the object. You can see right now we have 3,800 points, and the points have not been welded where the objects have been joined. So let's go ahead and use optimize. You can see the point count has been reduced to 3,300. We can save some more polygons by getting rid of edges that we don't need anymore, like the ones at the center of the pillars. So I'm going to select those edges in the top view using my rectangle selection tool, and let's switch off tolerance selection here and just grab all of these edges that we don't need anymore. So I'm going to dissolve these edges, and if I go back a step and switch to polygon mode, you can see we have 3,400 polygons. If I go to edge mode and dissolve these edges, you can see that we have reduced the polygon count to 2,900. We also have created some n-gons here, and if you take a look at these grooves, the n-gons have been created in this area here. Now you can keep these n-gons if you want to, or you could just remove them. The geometry will not look pretty if you do that, but I think that's better than continuing these edges all the way to the top, because we would have a lot of extra polygons that we don't really need anymore. So if we render this, you can see we're getting something that looks pretty nice and detailed, and the polygon count is not even that high.